We're back with part 2 now, guys, and it was highlight of the weekend was the big tournament, the big top better tournament, which was taken out by Phil Moyes. So well done, Phil. Great effort there. We were in the lead for a little while.
Yeah. So for those that might have noticed the handle pots up there, it's actually we formed a little group last week, so we're going to be changing the name. We haven't. After this show's finished, we're probably going to have a couple of beers and work out what our new name's going to be. But DK was in charge, so he did all the hard yards, and we gave it a good go. We sort of probably made a slight error there late in the day, but it was fun while it lasted. It was good.
I think the error was I didn't have enough inner psychopath harnessed at 3/4 time. I was sort of ready to let it go in the last race or something. But the boys there, Phil and whoever, they got some other guys up the top of the lead, put the foot down at about race 7.
Yeah.
Started really amping it up, and I thought, because we were leading after I think about 2 minutes loose, we had the front, didn't we? And I thought, we're going to sort of pick along and just have a good crack at Ascadilli. But they put the foot down on the sort of blue diamond time, really up the ante, and then we sort of so we beat it for the run, and that was have a run before the big one in the championships was obviously the.
We gave some thought to not having another bet after 2 loose until Ascadilli and just going all in the lot. But we decided we needed one more to bridge us across.
Yeah.
And we tried in the
Oakley plate, which wasn't the original strategy. Anyway.
Live and learn. It was a great effort. It was good fun.
It was good prep for the big one, which we need. People need to put syndicates together probably for that one. With
the $1,100,
$250,000 in a tournament on the championships and at the $1,100 buy-in. But it was great. I was engaged. I was liaising with Potts and trying to build a bank, and then so you try and build up, and then you put the foot down.
We had the account funded for 5 rebuys if we needed them, but in the end we used our free ticket that I'd won the week before when I forgot about it. So we've actually had a chance at 50k. We've been in the hunt up till race 8 or whatever the Oakley plate was, and it's cost us nothing. It's just like in the end it's hilarious, really. Like, you can't give Top Better a big enough rap for introducing this idea to racing, and you can see the amount of people that are engaged with it and the sort of people they are. It's something new and exciting, and it's you have to be a part of it.
Have to be a part of it, and you don't get discouraged if you do a couple of times. You get blown out of the water by the Smarties, as I did. So I sort of had a go at the Magic Millions one. I think it was a joke. I sort of took a softly approach with J-Max set or something and got blown out of the water. But then I went and had a look, and what did the successful people do? And they went hard, and it's all about. And then so I'm much better for the run after this one, and then hopefully we'll improve again into the big one.
So while DK was doing that, there was also a couple of other things that happened on Saturday in the Top Better tournaments. DK also entered the $50 one, and he got the cash. So well done, DK.
Cash, my first. Well done, mate. Yes.
And then later on that night, because the 5,000 bets that Juppie'd already had for the week probably weren't enough. So
that one was still going.
Still going. So he entered
for the Premier League.
He entered the Greyhound thing with no form, no nothing, just 3 meetings he'd never even seen. And somehow got the cash in the Greyhound thing. So well done, Juppie.
We got a little.
I'm the only one on the team that's gone nowhere near winning.
Still a virgin.
Yeah.
The other thing about it is, though, it's when you think about the big tournaments, and the big one, let's face it, there's probably not a stack of punters out there that, unless they get into a syndicated team, can afford the $1,100 buy-in for that tournament. But there'll be plenty of ways to win your way into that. There'll be plenty of opportunities from, they start from as little as $6. Chance your arm. Not only that, those little tournaments are also a real good way, like the little satellites, they're a real good way to learn your strategy to get yourself prepared for the big one. And also, what I found with it was, and it relates perfectly to what Mark was saying both in his article and on the show yesterday, if you enjoy a mental puzzle, and you enjoy racing anyway, it's a completely different sort of mental puzzle to what it is of just the regular Saturday bet.
Yeah.
It's a completely different puzzle.
Get your head around it from what you normally do, but experience, it helps. And I think we had a good strategy on Saturday. We really improved what we set out to do, what we wanted to do till probably half time, and then we'll just be better for the run,
Because it's not, especially with the way I bet and the way you blokes bet, it's all about discipline and just grind away and keep into a set of structures. Whereas if you do that in the tournament, where it is, as you say, the grind away softly, you may finish in the bubble and you may make something out of it, but you're not going to win the top prize.
As Glenn said, you've got to learn not to give a fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You really.
and that's
you've got to teach yourself. We're just disciplined. We're trying to be punting and disciplined, and earning and things like that. And that's completely different. You've got to shut the eyes there at some stage and.
There's room for someone that wants to graft away and just finish
Oh,
the
yeah.
money
Oh,
every
there
week
is too.
and
That's
then
right.
there's an earn in it.
Yeah, that's the
But if you
tactics.
want to win, you've got to think, okay, these are the set of results that I'm looking for, and if they happen, what will the winning amount be? I think you've got to do that, and then structure your betting around what you'd have to get to if they're the horses that won. So it is a real challenge.
It was great.
It's as Matt, who emailed into the Sydney show yesterday, said, like, I think he said he put 55 in and he's now won 2.5 out of it by finishing in the money and playing some of the smaller tournaments. There's plenty of tournaments there, and there's the ones that'll suit you, Pots. What did they call them again, Dan? The ones that close off early before the first race?
Bet and forget.
Bet and forget.
Oh, I know
There's a
one of
bet and
those.
forget tournament.
I just had a little play on one of them on Saturday. So that's your go.
Yeah, that's
And it's
right.
perfect and I've done it too, where you enter the tournament, you bet the first race and you're all keen, but then you get completely
So just
distracted
to
by
tell
something
people,
else.
that's so you put all your bets on before race one, you get 100,000 better bucks to spend. Your maximum bet on one race is 10,000. So you've got to have at least 10 bets over the course of the whole day. Yeah. So and then you just put them on all before race one, come back and see how you went at 5 o'clock or how you're travelling.
That's good. That's a good idea.
So especially, and that's especially if you're in the pickle factory and you've only got a bit of a break at lunchtime or something, or you have got cricket or footy seasons coming up and you're going to go and watch the footy. There you go. You can put your 10 bets on. You're in the tournament. You come back and see how you went at the end of the day, and you're not sitting there the whole day. So there's plenty of ways to get involved. So head to Top Better and jump in and make sure you get involved. So yeah, the tournament's a great fun. I'm looking forward to the big one at the championships.
Sure.
So that surely the one on the championships will just be Randwick, won't it? Or will it be? We better find out. So next week I'll confirm with the boys at Top Better, and we'll find out exactly what it'll be.
We'd like it to be on, say, Randwick and Melbourne.
It's
which would be
the only downside
ideal.
is having the last race in the tournament is the last race in Adelaide.
That might be something I have to clean up.
Yeah. But that's something that I'm sure they'll be receptive to. Boys, there's a couple of few little items that have come up this week. One of them's in a review of the APN down here in Victoria and whether they want to continue on it. The APN, for those that don't know, is the Australian Pricing Network, and basically that's if you go to a Top Sport, for example, and you see the prices up there, they're generally the prices that have come through from the track via the price calls.
Fluctuations.
Yeah, and that's where the SP and the top fluck are derived from. So RVL is sort of weighing it up to see A, whether it's still a valid market, and B, whether it's cost effective to do it, because like as everyone knows, I go pretty often and Dan gets out there from time to time and whatnot, and you see the bloke standing there with a little handheld that'll be punching in the price changes, and it's never been any different for as long as I've been going, so it's not as if technology's caught up with it. So they're doing a review into that. From my point of view, the only worry I have is that if it does affect the top fluck market, because I do a lot of my betting at top fluck.
It's a funny product, Top Fluck, but I mean they've asked for you can put in submission if you go to the website.
I'll tweet out a link.
Yeah, which I did yesterday. I put in a submission straight away. The gist of my submission was, I think the on-course APN fluctuations is getting to an outdated stage, particularly in the country.
Yeah.
When there's a rails ring in Melbourne, there's a bit of guts to it, and $5,000 minimums, minimum bets.
Yeah.
But the thing is with the on-course prices, at least there is minimum bets attached to those prices.
Yeah.
I mean that's the big thing, and that was my thing. What I said in the review.
And that's what I said too.
Yeah. On the database I use ratings to win. There is a column and a function called where you can have the ISP in your form guide, or you can have the ISP, which is the internet starting price. And Paul Daly explained to me that's taken as a blend of prices from most of the big corporates, generally the corporates who do accept some sort of, like the TABs, possibly Sportsbet, things
Top
like
Sport,
things like that. So that's nothing like the mythical prices of Bet365 and the non-betters like William Hill and Ladbrokes. It wouldn't be taking it off that. So,
but in terms of an SP, when it gets close to the race, within half an hour of the race, most of those joints take bets. You know what I mean? The real issues with them knocking bets back and restricting people are mostly early play. I'm talking about the ones that you know.
That's for city meetings, though.
Yeah. Okay. So, but I guess what I'm saying is the internet starting price that Paul's referring to it's very useful.
Very useful. It's far more accurate. As I said, it's far more accurate guide for me of a horse's SP than I had them lined up in the same in the database. I had them lined up together for a long time.
Yeah.
Now I've just pushed the SP, got rid of it, and all I've got the ISP. And there's big differences. One to be $4.60, one to be $6.
Yeah.
One to be 60 to one to be 150s. Like, you know, so I think they're drawing the SP from some sort of internet pricing offering is the way to go. But I think again, it'd be nice if there's some minimum bets to know that okay, those prices are being taken. They can't be you can take it and you can't.
Well,
and that equals the SP. You know, so
and I think if you speak to the different smarter punters, everyone's got different ways of doing it, but everyone has some joints that they will be able to get on, some joints they won't be able to get on, and not everyone's the same, so it is a little bit tricky. I think David Moody was on the radio this morning, he mentioned it, they are looking at it, but it's time to stop looking and start doing. It's time to put a minimum bet rule in place, especially if they're going to get rid of this, then there needs to be a minimum bet rule in place, because if they take sort of this away, then...
That's all it needs. If they implement a minimum bet rule, take an ISP, which is a blend of, you know, what's happened on the corporates, with a minimum bet attached to it, so there is some guts to the price. That's all. And
I think that'll also appease to some extent the on-course guys, who the on-course guys don't particularly want to lose it, because it is losing a bit of the individuality and some of the nostalgia behind it. But also, if they say, right, but there is a minimum bet rule, well then that helps them, because then it helps them trade. It means that they can back something back there, or they can do this, because currently they're in the same boat as just about everyone else. They're some of the first ones sacked. Like if you bob up and they know that you're a bookie, well then you're normally they don't want a bar of you. But they're the same. They're all Betfair watchers. They're all sitting there. Like
in regard to the minimum bet rule, Racing Victoria are, you know, we're to believe they're having a look at it, and it'd be relevant to the corporates, because they're the ones that, you know, they've accepted it in Sydney, and they haven't. Some of them are still a bit resistant to Victoria. But here's some. I picked up the paper this morning. I went out and had a toasted sandwich and a coffee.
Sun News Agent, you in the tab deal?
Grab the paper. Just read the Herald Sun, page 13. And I read this thing, it's about sports betting and whatever else, but there's quotes in here from the Australian Wagering Council, which is the mouthpiece of Bet365, William Hill, Sportsbet and so forth. And here's a couple of quotes. Better coordination and stronger framework for regulation and international cooperation would help. Okay, so we need more, we need a stronger framework, we need regulation, good.
Hang on, just to give a bit of background there, what they're talking about is the leakage of the sports betting money to the offshore operators.
You can't cherry pick what issue he's talking about. He's just talking about
a general statement.
He's talking about regulation.
Regulation of the gambling.
The challenge is this is again from the Australian Wagering Council, who's the mouthpiece of the corporates. The challenge is to create a regulated, transparent environment with robust consumer protections and responsible gambling and harm minimisation measures. So there you go, Racing Victoria. The Australian Wagering Council are on board. They're ready to go. They want regulated, transparent environment where everyone gets a fair go. So let's just make it happen, and then we'll never have to talk about it again on this show. And you know, Dan's submission on the APN and whatever else. Well, you know, it all makes sense. It's all there. All the pieces are there. It's got to be brought together.
And boys, if the racing punters think that they've got it bad with getting restricted and closed and can't get on, try betting on sport, because unless you bet with the offshores, you've got somewhere between millions and none of getting on, because I know, boy, like I've got quite a few mates that bet big and they bet on sport. There's a certain joint venture partner that if you wanted to bet on rugby union, the max bet's about $15, and that doesn't matter who you are. They're not confident in it. They don't want a bar of it, and it's just a joke. As everyone knows, I bet on women's basketball. Well, I've got to bet in literally every joint known to man to get more than... If I wanted, I'd have to bet with literally every corporate I could think of to get $2,000 on. So...
in a head-to-head.
Yeah, in a line bet. Yeah, so it's if you think it's tough getting on the racing bets, it's a million times worse betting on sport. Unless you're betting on... American sport or something like that, where you may be a bit better chance. But even then, it doesn't necessarily.
The facts are really simple. These things happened, way back when because they started out in Darwin and Vanuatu and whatever else. But it's all come back into the fold now. Just needs to be some rules, let's have the rules and we can all get on with it.
Yeah, it's we're not asking for much. All we're asking is for basically them to put a rule in place that's fair to everyone. We're not asking for the world. So it's time to actually, and that was one thing that Michael Felgate probably didn't press David Moody hard enough about this morning is once again, there wasn't a whole heap about the customer in there. And we are racing's customers. There are two lots of racing customers, but 85% of the funding comes from one, which is the punters. The other 15% comes from elsewhere. And one of the areas where...
we're the customers. All we want to do is bet. That's all we want to do. We're normal blokes that work hard and we really love betting.
Yeah.
So all we're asking for is the opportunity to be able to bet. That's it. And all of our customers, we want our subscribers to be able to bet
as well.
And another bloke who likes betting, who may have found another possible funding stream, is friend of the show, Nathan Snow. There he goes, another mention. He wrote an article during the week saying that we should potentially look at some sort of levy scheme for the breeding side of the industry, which we've sort of looked at before, and it made a lot of sense.
He's saying that the taxation of the wagering is maxed out.
Yep. Which is fair enough.
Yeah. So they're trying to toss up as to where to get the next income streams from, and RV, I think, trying to grow the sport to a new audience. But he's thinking that it can't sustain itself and looking at new ways to fund, and thinking that some sort of levy or something from the breeding industry is appropriate. So whether that's on a service fee or a yearling price or something like that.
Well, I sort of said I sort of had a chat to Snowy about it and briefly mentioned it to you, Dan, before the show, that I think the stallion fee is the way to go, because otherwise I think if it was through the sales ring, I think you'd find a lot of the big breeding operations don't send all their horses through the ring. So the Godolphins and the Darleys and Darleys or Coolmores and that, they hang on to a lot of the better bred horses rather than send them through the ring. So, and then it also looks after the smaller breeders who aren't sending them out to Reduced Choice or Costa or something like that.
For the hobby breeders,
yeah.
Treat a bit differently.
So then it's on the market sort of sorts itself out a bit, because they're not sending themselves to the top size. The ones that are sending to the top size can obviously afford to pay a little bit more. And then it's once you've got the foal on the ground, you charge them.
I think he's having a dream. He's having a dream with the structure and the power the breeders have in Australia, pods.
Well, you're asking David Mooney and John Massara to introduce or think about changes that are going to impact them more than anyone else. I just,
Anyway,
Snowy, it's a great idea. I'm saying it's about 1,000 to 1 and probably taking unders. And until the people in power are different, you know what I mean? While they're breeders and powerful breeders, I can't see a tax being put on the breeding segment of the industry. Well, to be honest, the only thing I'd say, I agree that the percentage on turnover is too high and the tax structure is not right. But that's a set one argument. The pool's not as big as it could be. There should be so much more betting occurring than there is. So come on, Racing Victoria and Racing News, get your heads together. Do things that encourage betting.
Yeah.
Get more people betting. And, there's a lot of people. Recently when I moved to Melbourne, I ran into a bloke just because he works at a place that I frequent, and he's near retirement age. Really good guy. He does his gambling these days, and has for the last 10 years, on the stock market, right? He does all sorts of bits and bobs. And he used to love racing, but he hasn't had a bet for 10 years. He got talking to me, and I told him what to do and everything else. He goes, I used to love racing. He goes, send me some of your stuff. And so I sent him a few things, and he went and opened up an account with Ladbrokes. But anyway, it doesn't matter. He opened up an account, started betting, and he's winning, and he's loving it. He's right back into racing. I'll tell you now, the worst thing that could possibly happen is if he wins for 3 or 4 months and he gets an email from Ladbrokes. He's a bloke that's come back to racing, that's really into it. He might tell his other mates about it and whatever else. He's someone that we lost, we've got back. If someone shuts an account on him or restricts him, it's game over. Yeah. So, there are a lot of people out there that at one point or time in their lives have engaged with racing and have dropped off. And, we could do a lot to get them back.
I think if the administrators want to have a look at what you're saying is correct, Potts. They need to grow the pie and keep the slice of the pie the same, and that's how they increase revenue. Because if you want to have a look at the opposite side, go and have a look at what they've done in America, where some of the takeouts over there are up to 30%, and the joints are ghost town and they're all but broke. But what they've done is they've realised the pie's shrinking, and they've gone, well, we want to keep the levels the same, so we just keep increasing the takeout to keep the same amount coming in. It just doesn't work like that. They do have to actively get out there. Victoria's better than most other states, where at least they are out there. They're trying new things. They've got the vision rights back. They've put those couple of new shows on. That they've got Ross Stevenson from 3AW doing it.
Joe McKinnon's show was really good the other night.
So at least they're... And I think it shows like that. Like if you go back, I was listening to Dr. Turf while I was at work this morning. They were talking about the old Penthouse Club show that used to be on, where Bill Collins would be there. And like we don't have characters like Bill Collins anymore. Like could you imagine Greg Miles doing the song and dance routines and stuff when he was hosting some of those shows that Bill used to? But like if you give it a bit of colour and put it on in prime time, even if it is on your own little network.
I thought you were going to tell me I just do a song and dance routine then for a minute, Jumpy. I was really getting worried.
That might be coming up in part 3. But I think if they change it up a little bit, they said they've got some new innovations that they're looking at launching for this spring. Like, why they haven't got some sort of drone technology or something to give us the overhead shots every day of the week. It's just, if they can be a little bit more innovative, because let's face it, it's been a bit of a soft launch with racing.com. But then what baffled me was, and I put it up in the chat room on Saturday, was they put reruns. I listed the shows, didn't I, Potts? They were literally, there were 6 reruns of half-hour old shows that were all 30 or 40 years old on the main channel. Well, surely if you've got the rights to the Blue Diamond, why not just put the Blue Diamond Day on the main channel? It couldn't have rated worse than the old episodes of Doctor Who and whatever else they put on at that stage. It couldn't have been any worse. But you've got the product already, you might as well stick it on and then see how it goes. Give it a little bit of exposure.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be a reason. I mean, they're not... The people running those TV stations aren't fools, so it's racing's fault that it's lost its audience. We've got to get it back.
Yep.
One way or another.
Just see, Snowy made a little, made a good bit to say about racing's dirty little secret, late in his article as well, Juppy.
Well, he nearly lost his roof there at one stage, Snowy. So
yeah, well, it's more. It wasn't the particular that case. He just said we've seen 2 high-profile cases where 70,000 has allegedly been leaked from racing economy for each transaction. How many times does this happen week in, week out is unknown. What insiders treat with a wink, a nod and a wink, are what most general public look upon with disgust. So, I think it's I know they're all coming out swinging, saying, well, Richie was off his tree saying that, and the Federation of Bloodstock Agents and everything. And I think it's been cleaned up, and a lot more reputable guys are doing it, like it's Wiley Dalzell, Brad Spicer, and a lot of everyone else. Goes without mention, but it has been had a races sales. It has had a history of being home of the rort.
Yeah.
And I spoke to a couple of guys this morning when I knew we were going to talk about it on the show, and said, "You got any stories?" I said, "How many do you want us to tell you?" They've been racing 30 years, So, and I got a little touch myself 10 years ago, and I just at the time I was young and I was only a 5% share, but I felt, there's been a touch here, And I don't care where you get in touch, whether it's a bookie, the supermarket, or a restaurant, or a bar. If you feel touched, you
don't go back.
Bar the joint, So. I know David Moody. It was completely wrong. So I just think, there's been two cases.
Yeah.
2 owners have been touched for 70,000 in 3 weeks. I don't think it's I don't. Most people are probably doing the right thing, but anyway. And
that was one other thing that Dr. Turf did mention this morning when he was talking about this. I tend to agree with him. I think they'll throw the book at him if they find him guilty. And Richie has half sort of admitted that he was involved in it. And the other thing that I find incredible, and it might be, but it just seems that Mr. Waller's kept himself at arm's length.
Too smart. Let him run it, but we can't. It's before the red boards and everything. Probably can't say too much about those.
But I haven't got much to say about the whole issue because I just don't know enough about it. I've never owned a horse, and I've owned shares in horses or whatever. But I'm someone that loves racing. I live and breathe it. But I'd be very careful about who I got involved with buying a horse with. You know what I mean? Like, there are people I would, but if I didn't know them really, really well, there's no way I'd go near it. You know what I mean? So it's not. It's a really that in itself is a really bad look for racing, isn't it?
You've got to really, money involved in it. There's got to be a big, massive trust factor for everyone.
Yeah.
But I mean, I won't go into stories and things like that, but anyway, I don't think it's not bad, but as Richie said, there is bits and pieces going on, you know.
Yeah.
Well,
and it needs to stop.
I mean, I don't know. I want to be careful what I say here because I don't want to get myself into trouble. But, you know, like, how much money do jockeys need to make? You know what I mean? Like, doesn't Blinn make enough out of riding? I mean, I'm not saying he shouldn't make an earn out of his connections, but
yeah, but not when you're
at least keep it above water. So, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand it. You know,
but that's the whole thing, Potts. He shouldn't be making an earn out of his connections because it clearly states that the jockeys can't be involved in the purchase of horses.
Yeah, like I don't know enough about the thing, but I just when I read some of it, I thought, Jesus Christ, man! Like, they said they want to have their hand in every.
That's it. And there's a very strong rumour going around. There's another high-profile jockey involved in the Brent Stanley case, but because there's cash involved and everything like that, it's all nothing's come of it or anything like that. But again, you know,
yeah, it just leaves a sour taste in people's mouths, and again, it's racing in the like. Richie was on the, and this also shows that you've had more experience than probably Dan and I have with this. Richie was on the front page of the Daily Telegraph.
Yeah, that's what. And he's big. Like I said, he's big in Sydney. His father was ran racing Moody for so long.
Well, apart from Black Caviar, what good news would get racing on the front page of the Tally?
Well, it'd need to be something pretty good.
On the sell pages, right?
So,
Anyway.
boys, there was also a decent race there on Friday night at Moonee Valley, and I think you found one out of that race.
Yeah, well, I just thought it was worth mentioning Almighty Girl's performance on Friday night in the Typhoon Tracy. I thought, I mean, Potts, I think you liked it, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, honestly, I don't know what they. She had 3 runs. I mean, all 3 of them have been amazing.
Yeah.
Like it's like full credit to young Mitchell Beer and Max Hitler. Honestly, they've done a great job with her, and she's done extraordinary things. So it's hard to know where she's going to end up and what they're going to do with it. 'Cause she's still in her first prep.
Yeah. But third start in a race to do. The second start to run heavily to what she did, and then the other night I just watched. They came back saying, Bossy was a 10 out of 10 from the wide gate, and Bossy, to his credit, got off the horse and they said 10 out of 10. He said, mate, credit's got to go to the joint here. Yeah. For me to be able to do that on a horse having its third start, and what he did was jumped out, caught wide, dragged back a bit, caught wide, kicked up a little, trying to slot in, anchor drop, trying to get in, trying to get the horse to settle. The horse just copped it all. Yeah. It copped it all. Then pulled out and had the temerity to run down Secret Agenda. You know, it was just enormous.
You could just see on the turn there, she looked at Secret Agenda, Almighty Girl, and went, I'm going to get you. Like Bossy was along for the ride, and that filly just had her eye on that horse in front of her, and she was going to run past her. And she did something similar at Flemington. She could see where Heatherly was, and to have a crack at Heatherly and leave the others way back. Yeah. So 3 runs, 3 different tracks. What she did on the boot was amazing. Yeah. Like back, forward, out, wide. Well, what's this all about? Okay, off we go. And like she's just got serious ability. Something really nice about her.
The horses to follow, absolutely. Whatever. I don't know what they'll do with their first prep, how deep they'll go, but definitely in the spring, who knows what she'll be able to do.
Well, that's where we might be able to find her in the DK and pot sets, boys.
Yeah, well, you never know. Like it's all about price, really, with that stuff. But good luck to Mitchell, Beer, and Max with that horse because. I'd like to see it to be around for a while.
Thank God we are off the canvas in the DK pots, mate. We were down and out there in week 2 a bit, mate, but we turned it all around.
Well, honestly, DK, like we're sort of we go Wednesday through Sunday and we have Monday and Tuesday off and we start again. If you'd have told me at the end of last Wednesday, which at that point cumulatively we got to minus 25 or something, that we're going to, at the end of the week we'd be plus 50 odd and 25% on turnover for the whole 3 weeks, I would have said, you're kidding yourself, like you've just gone mad. But from Thursday through to Sunday, we had a really nice little run, which was...
much needed.
Yeah. So I'm really happy for our subscribers, and thanks to everyone that stuck
with us. Yeah, for sure.
But we found winners on Thursday, on
Friday,
you found Artesian, which was lovely. A couple of nice bets on Saturday, and then we you've found Chapello Boy there on Sunday, which was 15 start maiden. Yeah, that's a great tip to find that horse there. Yeah, you saw something in its previous couple of runs.
Yeah, previous I'd sort of had him. Yeah, I did, and he's a horse I backed early in his career. Then I just barred him, and then he ran well at Stony Creek or something 2 starts ago. I had him on the video. Should have finished close. I had a new stable, even though he's still 12th on for the prep or something. It was a new stable, and then he ran really well the start before. And I thought, oh well, you're worth. I'm trying to think value's the way to go for me. With the results I had this week were the mystery in between started short, but you were able to get $9. So when we sent the tip out on the Thursday, Artesian was $4.60, Triple A Boy was $7.90.
Well, if
I think that's rather than when Nucleus got beat at 5-4, I was just banging on the Wednesday at Sandy. I was just banging my head saying, why?
Well, if you're a place punter, you were flying at sale on Sunday because I don't think one of them missed a drum, did they?
Go on better.
Might run third. Anyway, I mean,
it was just.
I had a couple of misfires. I mean, every time I do one of these provincial meetings, I'm learning something. I think there are real opportunities at these provincial meetings, so things are going to evolve a bit, and we're going to make money out of it. The winner I found there on Sunday it's just want to pay tribute again to Mark. I know we're doing it every week, but it was another Mark Lambourne Pearl. The best prep for a 2200 metre race is a 2200 metre run, and that horse had a 2200 metre run and it pulled the whole race, and it was going into a race where it wasn't going to pull. So that was a 7-year-old scrubber, but who cares? It got the cash at $11. So
and you came to vote and the queue.
And
just to brush home on the queue. The only other chance. Favourite.
It's good. I'm finding that a lot of these provincial races where two horses separate themselves from the field, so it's something I am going to,
I'm going to look at it more as well.
I'm going to look at. So anyway, that's good. So just while we're doing results, my stuff ticking along okay for the year. It's from January 1. It's plus 5.5%. So we had a funny month in February. We won a lot. We had a lot of winning meetings, but I had 2 really bad meetings in February, which held us back a bit. But we finished strongly at Caulfield there on Saturday. I mean, all the winners were pretty easy to find, but what I did do well was nail the prices down so we could have really good bets on them. So I did. To have a massive day there on Saturday, you needed to find either Catch a Fire or Flambird, which I didn't do, but we still won 45 units. So that was good. And as I said, the DK and pot stuff now, we've bet 222 units in 3 weeks for a return of 279, so we're plus 58 units, and the profit on turnover is just a bit over 25%. So as I said to all those subscribers that stuck after the difficult week 2, thank you, and you got good reward there last week.
And also the PBL chat room continues ticking over really well, Pots. Like there's some, it's a great group of guys we've got in there, guys and potentially girls. Like there's some real smart people in there.
Yeah, so rather than going to that now, Jeff, we're going to do a little 5-minute bits separate, so people that want to just find out more about the PBL chat room and just click on that video and have a look at it. But we're going to have a 5-minute chat just about the PBL stuff.
All right, and other than that, we've got the great meeting at Flemington this week to look forward to for the Guineas meeting. So that'll be a cracking day out there, and hopefully we get a share of rain in the next. Doesn't look like we're going to, but it'd be nice to get a share of rain in the next 24, 48 hours, so you can keep the sprinklers off it. But
Juppy, I'm really looking forward to Flemington on Saturday.
Yeah.
Right? But I've got to tell you, mate, right now, all I'm looking forward to is Sandown tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
I did mark one 350 in the last that I just took $10 about, so there's something for our punters to get ready for. It's a good meeting tomorrow, and between now and Saturday, there will be DK and Potts tips on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Plenty of my joints, Stall, Donald, Colac.
Beery Gurra Cup Day at Colac.
Come on.
And Wangara at a Cup Day on Sunday.
Another one of my black short joints.
Well, what I'm looking forward to is getting a beer now that we're finishing this. So we'll see you next week, guys.
Still shout.